In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Damn it.
Welcome to A Nice Place to Brew. I'm Jason.
And I'm George.
Happy post 4th of July to all the listeners out there. Today is
Absolutely.
July 6th, and I'm drinking a wheat ale tonight from Will County Brewing Company. It's a flashback to one of our earlier broadcasts throughout the quarantine. George, what are you drinking tonight?
I have a Marzen from a local brewery.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah. It's one of their staple ones that they have on all the time. That's they decided they're going to do a lager and a Marzen as one of their staple beers, which I think is pretty gutsy.
That's an interesting choice for a regular go-to at a brewery. I like that though. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. All right. How, sir, was your 4th of July?
You know, it wasn't bad. In-laws came up. We hung out with them. And yesterday I made paella on the grill, which was an interesting experience.
Paella.
Paella, yeah. Rice, chicken, sausage, and shrimp with, peppers and onions. And yeah.
Oh, man, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Good deal.
Yeah. What about yourself, sir?
It was good. It was good. I did not have paella, but I did have carne asada.
Okay.
And that was pretty fantastic. And
Nice.
My lovely fiance made some chicken vegetable kebabs, which she's becoming famous for. So everybody that we were with was quite happy, myself included. So,
Okay.
and there was what kind of craft beer was there? I had a hazy IPA from Riverwoods that I have had on the web stream here before. It again was very good. It's not a full-on double IPA. It's 6.8%, which is
Okay.
Heavy, but not not fall over heavy. And of course, right now it is oppressively hot here in the Midwest. So you definitely need something refreshing. And that did the job. That did the job just fine.
Yeah, here too. Let me tell you. Yeah, it's quite warm.
What's
definitely
quite warm? Can you quantify that?
Mid-90s.
Mid-90s? Yeah. Okay, so we're right neck and neck.
I was definitely drinking some beer and sweating like crazy whilst making said paella yesterday. But yeah.
Good deal.
So yeah.
Well, we have an announcement to make before we get into the meat of today's broadcast. We are here to announce a scheduling change. Today's broadcast is Monday, July 6th, and George and I have done the webcast every Monday and Thursday since the beginning of the quarantine. And sure enough, we have not missed a broadcast during that time, which, being that we're coming up on 14 weeks now or something like that, is a bit of a feat. And we've had a great time doing this. We've built up quite a library of past shows, all of which are accessible on our YouTube page as well. Today will be the last Monday broadcast for here on the Nice Place to Brew webcast. Going forward, we will be broadcasting every Thursday at the same time, 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and this will be now a once a week webcast. So, if for those of you out there who may be disappointed and may feel a void in their lives because that's one less broadcast that me and George are putting out, I would encourage you to go on our YouTube page where we have a lot of past content. And if you get through all that, and I applaud you if you do, we have a podcast out there under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew, that's available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and all the other places you can get your podcast from. We have social media pages everywhere under A Nice Place to Brew and Nice Place to Brew. And our website is www.aniceplacetobrew.com. There you go.
Yeah. And we've been going strong on this. Things are starting to pick back up in our lives and in life in general. And a lot of people have figured out how to do things that we used to do in person as remote, and so that is reflected in how busy we're getting. We want to keep this going, but also I think it might be a good opportunity for us to be able to get back to our roots a little bit and get some more podcast episodes in there as well, that Jason and I can focus on that a little bit.
That would be good. We have not done a full-on audio podcast since the beginning of the quarantine.
No, we've been busy doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So more to come on both fronts. So we got our webcast and further podcasts coming as well. All right. Good deal. This beer is just as good as I remember it.
Yeah?
Yeah. The name of the beer is Bam Bam Loves Pebbles. It's a wheat ale that's flavored to the vein of Fruity Pebbles cereal. And it's subtle.
The vein of or with? Or
I don't know. I don't know if the Fruity Pebbles were added to the mash or not.
Okay.
I just know that there definitely is a leftover hint of sweetness that is reminiscent of a kid's cereal. So
okay.
I think it's solid. It's sweet, but not too sweet. And it's very much, it fits in the vein of the wheat base beer that it has. So I'm very pleased. Nice. And on a day where it's 90 plus degrees, refreshing.
Right. Well, that's good. Yeah.
I think so.
So
how is the fermentation going?
Still, it has been going nonstop for I pitched last Monday, so as of today it's a full week, and it is still kind of just trucking along.
That seems crazy.
It does, and I think, and honestly, I think part of that is because, like I said, there was no starter this time around. It was a direct pitch from the vial, so I think even though there was enough cells and everything, they didn't take off as fast as ones usually do when I create a starter. And it just kind of, so it took a little bit of time to spin up, and it's really been steady. Like I haven't gone in, like the first couple days I didn't go in and there was just nonstop action in the airlock. It's just been steady, bubbles every a couple bubbles every second, that kind of thing. And I think it's just been a really slow and steady type fermentation, which isn't a bad thing to have.
It's not a bad thing, but your starting gravity was what, 1040?
No, it was higher than that. It was... Well, no, 1045, so not too much higher than that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So...
Where do you think you'll finish at?
I'm hoping, 10:08, 10:07, somewhere in there.
If you've been bubbling for 7 days, I think you're on track.
Yeah, I think so. And the other part too is I tend to leave it for at least 2 days afterwards, after it's done, so it can clean up. And especially considering I'm going to be doing secondary on this with acid, I want to make sure that it has a chance to do that before I pitch the lemons and limes in there and really disrupt any fermentation that's going to happen in there.
I would suggest raising the temperature also. We've talked about this in past episodes, especially if you have, I know you have a chamber and you have temperature control in it. Aren't you fermenting right now at was it low to mid 60s?
No, I'm fermenting at 69.
69. Mm-hmm. Okay. I
was
know. I
the
mean, that's very much in the diacetyl rest
Oh,
category. So
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So no, I don't think you need to change the temperature then. But I think you got the right idea just by holding it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the temperature range for it is 67 to 73. So
Oh, I
I'm
thought it was
right,
lower than that for some reason.
right in the. That's the next one that I'm doing.
Okay,
Is
that's
a
where I
lower
got that from.
range.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the for the Marzen project.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But no, this one is right in that range. So
What makes you? Oh, okay, you're doing a secondary because of the acid addition.
it's not an acid addition, it's lemons and limes, and
Oh, that's yes,
which
yes.
is citric acid. So it is going to acidify the mixture a little bit. It's not I'm not souring it, but it is
Hmm.
going to acidify the liquid.
Yeah, yeah. I think you got the right idea.
Yeah.
All right. I have 5 listeners. Welcome everybody. This is great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Leave a question in the comments. We talk about all things beer and beer making, as we say here on the webcast. So throw anything out. Nothing's off the board. We've been known to cover every topic between yeast starters and
And the
uh,
Karate Kid.
in the Karate Kid. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say we've also had in-depth conversations recently about spunding valves. So going
That's
from
true.
spunding valve
Yeah.
to the Karate Kid shows you what kind of range this webcast has. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Have you and Polly picked a date yet?
tentatively Sunday, this coming Sunday.
Oh yeah, okay. You're probably going to be a little bit ahead of me then. I'm probably not going to do it until the weekend of the 17th. And what I'm talking about for everybody else is, since you're not in our heads, is the Marzen fermentation under pressure project. I'm probably going to be ordering my grains here soon to be able to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little further. You want to give a little backstory? How did that come about?
We were talking about some advanced brewing techniques, and one of the ones that came up that neither of us have ever done before was fermentation under pressure. And so we decided to do some research, come back and talk about it. And in the kind of the genesis of that, when we figured out that there's what's called spunding valves or pressure relief valves that you can connect to a ball lock corny keg, we decided we're going to give it a shot and use a corny keg as a unit tank, and basically be able to pressurize and do the fermentation in there. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to transfer from one corny keg to another, and then end up serving from that. So I'm not going to use it as a true unit tank, but that's kind of the plan.
I had the same idea. I
Okay.
do see that once the fermentation and pressure is done with, that's just so much leftover yeast that's going to be left in that.
Yeah,
So,
and with a traditional unit tank, there's a way to rack off the yeast off bottom or close it off. But when you're using a corny keg, you don't have that option. So you gotta
yeah.
get it from one to the other. Hey, Bolly, how's it going, man?
From the world famous
Hey
brew
guys,
and
how
grow
you
in
doing?
Bolingbrook, Illinois, Mr. Polly. What's up,
What is
man?
up? How we doing? And
Good.
hey, you know what? I'm glad I chimed in this time, since we're gonna try that this weekend. You want me to just go ahead and grab a dip tube and I'll cut that one off? I'll cut like an inch off the bottom of that, but can use that so we're not ruining one of our dip tubes.
So we would have a true unit tank.
Well, no, I think he's
Yes, we
talking
could,
about.
because we're gonna have to do it. And we're gonna have to do that if we're gonna use that anyway, because that dip tube's gonna be down in the yeast cake. And it
Right.
might
Yeah.
clog the
Exactly.
dip tube.
Exactly. No, absolutely, man. If you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll grab it on Saturday when my manager's here because I'll get my discount with it.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's your guys' solution to that, hack off a little bit of the dip tube. I'm going to go a slightly different way. We talked about this on one of our previous episodes too, was I'm going to do the floating one.
Mm-hmm.
and then just stop before I hit the bottom of the keg.
That will make
Actually, I'm thinking about ordering one of those floaters eventually too, especially with all these hoppy beers that I keep making, all like
yeah.
New England
Yeah.
and everything.
Does the
They should
world famous
true
Brew and
house.
Grow in Bolingbrook, Illinois, sell the floating dip tubes?
What's that, Jason?
Does the world famous Brew and Grow in Bolingbrook, Illinois, sell the floating dip tubes?
Not yet. I'm working on them right now. There's a few things that we've talked about in these podcasts that I'm
Yeah.
actually getting Mike to start carrying because hell, I'm willing to buy it. I don't want to have to go somewhere else to buy it. I'd rather
No.
support
Yeah.
my place of business or
Absolutely.
my place of
Yeah.
employment. Like
So-
I'm really upset with our club competition. I can't even get my hops that we need. I have
Oh,
to- I
that's
have
no
to order
good.
them online or go to our competitors, the competitor's store
Yeah.
in the other town, a couple towns over.
Now, do you have some kind of special hop that's particularly hard to find?
What's up?
The hop that you have for the club competition, is that a really like rare hop that's hard to find?
Well, it's new. It's really
Okay.
new. And then at our, sometimes here it takes us a while to get new stuff because we have to be able to get it from our distributors.
Right. Okay.
And
All right. So that's
so, then for us to get it in, it's got to get congressional approval. We got to start, then we have to order it and then put them in our inventory. So it's a process to get stuff here.
yeah.
We started carrying a couple new nutrients here. It took us a couple weeks to get everything going, but now that we have it all, it's awesome. Makes our customers happy.
Always good. So, hey, Paulie, you had
But-
talked about the grain setup. I'm curious to see the grain setup that you guys have there for grain purchasing.
All right, I'll walk over there right now and show you. It's kind of nice. I
It's
wish there was a way. Is there a way on your phone that you could flip the camera around?
You can, yes.
Oh.
If you go into the
But-
settings, you can flip it around.
Let me see here. Camera. Back camera.
oh,
No.
lost you.
Oh,
Come back. Come
working
back.
on it, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
All
All
good.
right. When I
I'm
looked at
there.
it,
I'm working
At-
on it. I'm trying.
Hashtag where's Polly?
Not happening. All right.
No.
all right. Well,
I'll tell
you
Wanna
know,
can you flip the phone around?
that's the other option. All right.
I will speak to it though. Brew and Grow does have the best grain setup in the Chicagoland area. They really do. And
Is
once
the bowling-
you
Go ahead.
once you see it, you'll understand what I mean.
Okay.
There's no excess grains that you have to buy. You weigh everything there, write down codes, and then mill it right there too.
Okay. Is they had multiple locations? Did they collapse down just to the one?
Not just one. I think there's Paulie would know this number right away. You know what? I won't even guess. I'll let
Okay.
Paulie say.
But there is more than one.
Yes.
Okay. Just the Bolingbrook one is the only world famous one.
Yes. Bolingbrook
Yeah.
is the one world
All right.
famous brew and grow
Could make the
location.
camera work, but here.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
So it's like a coffee. Or
Yeah.
no, actually, it's more like
Yeah, they got little- they got
the
little-
bulk candy stuff.
They got little scoops to weigh it
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
And then if
Pa-
you look down there, those are all of our base grains all the way down the row. And these are all specialties all the way up and down. Everything's in alphabetical order for the most part. And it's kind of cool. It's like I was kind of spoiled the old way when we sold everything by the pound. But now it's like if I really only want 4 ounces of black patent, I can only buy 4 ounces of black patent.
Yeah.
I'd be stuck with the other 12 ounces for the next 3 years.
Can you show us the weigh stations too?
I'll show you that. Then here's our hop cooler. Oh, there's
Okay.
our hop cooler,
Oh.
our East cooler right here.
So they're always good to have.
Yeah. And then there's our let me see if I can get it. There's our not used keezer where Jason, your beers are in there.
Oh, all right.
So,
Good deal.
So, 30. It's about time for me to start closing. I just want to come in and say hi to you guys.
All
All
right.
right, sir.
Thank you
see
so
you
much
guys
for
on
tuning in,
Thursday.
Paulie. Yeah, we'll see you Thursday. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, man.
All right, cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye. All right. So
It's
on
awesome.
this,
He was able to drop in.
absolutely. So on this, our last Monday show, what do we want to talk about? Topic du jour.
Topic du jour. Listeners, any suggestions?
Yeah. What do you guys want to hear about?
Yeah.
That's a good thought.
Yeah, throw it. Come into the YouTube page. Leave a comment on the in the little chat box. Eric has chimed in already. Said what's up to us. What do you want to hear? We'll put this out to all of you.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, wrong one. And that's annoying.
What's annoying?
My computer rebooted on me to install a new version of Edge, of all things.
Okay. All right.
And some of the things I was doing, I did not save because I did not authorize a reboot. And so, but it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Let's see. What do you want to talk about? I'm just looking at some of the information I have here. So, okay, let me put this way. You and I both have the round mash tuns, right?
The modified cooler mash tuns. Yeah.
Modified cooler with a false bottom at the bottom and things.
Yep.
I have seen a lot of people that use the big, party rectangular ones where they build either a PVC or a copper manifold at the bottom.
I'm jealous of them.
You are? Okay. So that's kind of where my question's going is what do you think are kind of why, I guess, let me rephrase it. Why are you jealous of them? Like, what is the appeal there?
Because they have more versatility with it. Because you're not limited in size to whatever your cooler size can handle. The fact that we have 10-gallon coolers has their limits, and we've already seen those when we try to make like imperial stouts, beers that have a really big grain bill. Well, what's your sparge volume when you have a grain bill that's that large? It's going to become a negative number because you don't have enough space in there. So The solution to that is to have a bigger mash tun. The problem is that there's no coolers over 10 gallons that are commercially available. So if you want something that's an odd size, 15, 20, 25 gallons, whatever it is, get ready to custom make something.
Right.
And there's plenty of coolers out there that can do that, but you're going to have the challenge of building a manifold that's going to work for you.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And it can be done. It can be done. And, there's many ways to do it, but it's, there's work involved.
Yeah. The ones that I've seen, like I said, have either been copper or PVC. And what people have done is they've cut slits in usually in the bottom of it, just to allow liquid through, but to keep the solid matter from getting through.
Right.
And the other option that you have when you start getting up that big is your kegels and using like the kettle that I have actually has its own false bottom because it's designed that it can also be used as a mash tun if you need it to be. And in fact, I did once with when I overestimated the size of my mash tun.
Is that that big
Um,
15-gallon pot that we bought?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Okay.
So there's that, and you can upgrade to that. But do you remember what we used to do when we wanted to make larger or 10-gallon batches?
So I remember our dual cooler setup. We would split up the grain bill in two, and then we would sit them
Uh-huh.
side by side, do two different water additions. And then I'm trying to remember how we did the sparge for those, and I'm kind of coming up short.
I think what we did was we did a batch sparge on those. So we
That would make
would,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, we put it into, I don't remember what we used as an HLT, but we had like another kettle. Oh, you know what? We used our old kettle because we bought the 15-gallon one so we could do the 10-gallon batches.
Yeah.
And we used our old kettle as an HLT for the batch sparge liquid.
Hmm.
We would drain off into would recirculate and then drain off into our kettle. And then from the old kettle, the seven-gallon kettle, we would do a batch sparge in each one and then drain again into there. And that was kind of the MacGyver-ish way that we came up with.
It worked.
It
We
worked.
got through 10-gallon batches. Not a problem.
Yeah, and I don't think we had like efficiency problems either. I think it took care of that. So Sean sent us a message and he said, I don't know if you have it covered already, but how made you guys start homebrewing?
The what and the how. Okay.
The what and the how.
I feel like we've covered the how in pretty good detail. That we've,
Right.
there was just some initial appeal that we started doing extract kits, and we gradually built up to all grain pretty quickly after just 2 or 3 batches.
Yeah, the how, I mean basically I had received a really basic pre-hopped extract kit from my father-in-law for something, I don't, birthday, Christmas, I don't remember which, and that was our first batch that we made.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then from there we decided that made, shall we call it, terrible beer. And so we ended up going to, I think, Brew and Grow, didn't we?
I was not part of the first shop visit.
Okay, maybe it was me and Nate.
Probably.
Yeah, I think it was Brew and Grow. Went there and picked up some equipment and then got the extract kit from there. And I think you were part of that first extract brew day, though. It was the three of us.
So. At the very least, I remember very specifically being part of that bottling day.
Yeah,
with a bunch of plastic bottles and the little tablets.
Yeah, those little
is a terrible way to carbonate.
I don't know if that's a function of the PET bottles because they expand, so actually creating carbonation in there is more difficult, or if those carbonation tablets just don't do anything. But we had so much flat beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is an interesting question. I didn't think about the plastic expanding, mostly because that's the only time that we ever used plastic anything to bottle with.
Yeah, we very quickly got away from that and got glass bottles. So yeah. So,
but what about the what? What was? I mean, did you just get a kit and was like, oh, this sounds like a good idea, or?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
that was it. Okay,
that was it. And it kind of appealed to my the engineer tinkering side of my personality, and I liked beer, so why not? And that's Eric agrees that carb tablets suck, and very quickly after that we it started using the corn sugar, remember,
Oh, yeah.
in the bottling bucket,
Yeah.
and that worked much better. And you know what? I don't know if we ever tried the carb tablets in glass. So to be fair to the pet
No.
bottles, I'm not sure if it's so much the pet bottles that restricted the carbonation or if it was the carb tablet sucking that restricted the carbonation. My
Either
guess
way,
would
we
be
never looked back.
true enough, but my guess would be it was probably the carb tablets, if I had to guess.
Yeah, exactly. So the question came up in the chat. What was your first beer and how bad was it? Well, we're partially telling the story right now because it was carbonated with tablets. It was
I think it was a pale.
Yeah,
I think it was like a pale ale kind of thing, and it just was flat.
yeah. That's about all I remember about that beer.
Yeah, I just remember thinking, man, this is not great, and that we could do, and thankfully we thought, well, we could probably do better, so let's try again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And went from there. So
What else? What was the other appeal of making beer? I'm trying to think what else was going on around that time that kind of drove that. I don't remember much other than getting a phone call from you and just saying, "Hey, I've got some stuff to make my own beer. You want in on this?"
To be honest, I don't think there was much thinking beyond that. I think let's just brew some beer, see what happens. So I'd love for there to be some grandiose story.
Right, exactly. You had
we just got back from Nam, and just
we tasted a beer and said, you know what, I'm gonna do this better. No,
no,
we don't have that. We had one project, and one project turned into another, and into another.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah,
Sean, by the way, your comment about the manifold, I'm definitely interested because I do feel like that's a necessary upgrade that I'm going to have to make probably sooner than later. So if you have pictures or anything, I would love to take a look at it.
You're not liking your false bottom?
Well, I feel like I'd have a lot more options available to me if I wasn't, chained down to a 10-gallon cooler, which is what I'm at right now. So, one thing I got to think about, and this calls out directly to Sean, is we've got this thing called Big and Dark, which is going to be here before too much longer. It's, it's July right now, but it's going to, it'll be here before we know it. So, if I want to make a 5-gallon of my Big and Dark beer, good luck doing that with a 10-gallon cooler.
Well, true enough. I mean, the other option you have, although it kind of is a bummer, is you could do like a 3-gallon or a 3.5-gallon. It's the same amount of effort to make less liquid, but at least you can use your equipment.
Listen. Our winters are really long here in Illinois. I know you're in a southern state now. You can't relate to that as much as you did, but listen. Those imperial stouts go over well here.
No, you're not wrong, and I get it. On a nice cold day, one of those stouts goes down sometimes a little too easy.
Yes, yes, exactly.
I understand. Yeah.
Not to mention at the JBG year-end party, those go around.
Yeah. Oh man, how we got home from a few of those, I have no idea.
True.
All right, so Sean did say in the episode with Brando, someone asked what was the best piece of equipment that is not required. His that he would like to add is a keg.
That's a worthy choice.
It is.
No question.
I feel like it adds a lot more to the story than just, a keg. Because he's right, you get a kegging system, all of a sudden you don't need to bottle anymore, which is good at a bunch of levels. But it's not just a keg that you need. It's a CO2 tank, it's a regulator,
right?
It's at the very least a picnic tap Mm-hmm. Which is beer disconnect
Right.
and a little picnic tapper deal.
You have to know the construct of the keg, how it
Mm-hmm.
disassembles, how it cleans, how
Right.
to clean it properly. Yeah. So I mean, going from bottling to kegging is a big step. It's not just, it's not just a tiny little, you know, walk forward. There's a
Right.
lot that comes with that.
Yeah, I mean it's a good step to do.
Oh yeah.
Because just your everyday. But I will say that some of the guys in my my homebrew club, they still to this day will just bottle everything because he doesn't feel like dealing with kegs, and I really don't understand how it's less work, but it is what it is.
Sean, I definitely want to take you up on that. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk. Thank you very much.
Okay. And Sean, what material do you typically use for your manifolds? Do you do copper or do you do PVC?
It just seems so much easier to do PVC.
I would agree, but there are some people that kind of bark at PVC because of the higher temperatures, which I never quite understood. If you're okay with mashing in you're okay with mashing in an igloo cooler, but a little PVC gives you the willies for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay,
quite understand
no.
that.
Yeah. No,
But there's
that's
definitely that
poor.
sentiment around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like buying a pump. The pump is the cheapest part. That's well said.
Oh my God, that's
Yes.
so true.
Yeah. You can buy a keg on a good day for $30-$40.
Yeah.
But that does not include the price of your CO2 tank, the price of your regulator, the price of the little poppets,
Right.
the cleaning, let's see what else, sanitizer. And here's the other thing, George, we've talked about this on past episodes about the cleaning bottles, the ones
Oh yeah.
the ones that you modify to
The line cleaning bottles. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, the ones that you can pop a ball lock onto
Mm-hmm.
and push through, which I'm 100% convinced that any home brewer out there who is kegging should absolutely have that as one of your tools.
It's just so easy to put together too. I mean, it literally takes two parts. A little disconnect, pop it, and and that bottle, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Sean brought up the idea about doing a how-to video for the manifold, which I'm going to take you
I
up
like
on.
that one.
Yeah.
I want
think
pictures too, because I'll put an article together. We can put an article together for the website.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we should do something else. I know we won't be the first person to do a video on how to put those cleaning bottles together, but I do think that would be well worth doing and wouldn't be difficult to do.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So,
Just because I'm that serious that everybody out there should have that.
it's, when I look at, what should we put on our website? What should we talk about here? I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel on anything. It's just giving our take on it. And I feel like you and I both have some unique experiences and takes on it that, some people find it maybe interesting or more accessible or, and so let's just do it. And if we can help people, we can help people. And that'd be great.
Yeah. And listen, George and I, are two different people with two different mindsets. George is smart. I am not. And I learned by tripping over myself, and that's pretty much the only way that I do. So that's where pretty much all my stories come in. And then I called George in a panic, being like, "Help! Help!" And George, being so patient, always takes me through it. So,
ladies and gentlemen,
honestly, that's made a great dynamic between the two of us, and we've made things work.
We have. That's absolutely true.
Yes.
Yeah. It's definitely led to some frustrating brew days for us though. When I'm like, yeah, I think I know how to do this, and something just falls apart, and it's like, ah, shit. Now what?
I'm trying to think now, like, what's the most frazzled that I ever had to call you about? And the first thing that came to mind was when the volcano in my kitchen happened when we made strawberry mead. But that can't be the only one. And you know what?
No.
I feel like the other one is probably the one that still is not solved to this day. And it was Super Bowl Sunday. I was finishing a brew day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the jar from the catalyst fermenting vessel still never come off. No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm tempted to have you send me that bottom assembly with the mason jar still attached so I can try to get it off for you. Because I'm just like, why won't that come off?
I don't know. I really don't. That's gonna be a pain in the ass to put in the mail to you. Not that it couldn't happen, but that's
well, it'll come off the conical, right? It just won't. The mason jar won't come off, right?
That's right. It's just the mason jar.
Okay.
Part. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a good point. Yeah. If I could just box up that one part that the jar connects to, yeah, that's not that big. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I'd love to take a look at that and really try to figure that out.
Actually, you know what? I think that's probably going to take the title. That's probably the most frazzled the most frazzling problem that I've ever had to.
The only other thing that I could think of off the top of my head was, and I don't know if you've ever really figured this one out either. I think I remember what you ended up doing was your stuck keg. It just would not pour any liquid out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I think you ended up racking into a different keg, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
that was a pain.
Did you end up taking that dip tube out and figuring out what was going on?
I racked off into another keg. You're right about that. I don't think there was another outcome from that.
You didn't pull the dip tube out and it was just completely clogged with hops or something?
That still may have been the case. I mean, that's the one thing that makes sense as to what made that day so bad, but I can't. I remember trying several different things, and if you have, I mean, just to color that in a little bit further. So I carbonated a beer in a keg and hooked up CO2 and a liquid line to it, and I could not pour off any liquid. Mm-hmm. So from a keg, what that traditionally means is that you have something in the bottom that's clogging up the dip tube that wouldn't allow liquid to push through. Well, there's a couple of different kind of cheats that you can do to get through that. Some people will tell you to take your CO2 line and attach that to your liquid line and then blast a bunch of pressure down into the bottom, and it'll blow all those particulates throughout the keg, at least enough to clean out the liquid side. That has some problems in it by itself, but it is an option. Well, that didn't work here for me. So that's what I ended up doing, is just moving to a whole new keg.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other option. You just bleed off the CO2, you rack into another keg, sanitized, of course, and then you seal it up and hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
You're gonna have oxygen exposure. That's
Yeah,
I mean, you can't do anything about it at that point.
You can purge the new keg with some CO2 first, and so you can limit that.
You can, you can minimize it, but that's the best you can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you run that risk. But if you got a stuck keg, I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's the difference between having beer and not having beer.
Right. I mean, and we all want to have beer.
Well, of course. Wow, it's so insightful.
I know, right? Yeah. So,
is George called me frazzled with a big brewing problem? Now I'm thinking about that.
I think I think more often than not I've told you about them afterwards, because it's not that I'm so smart I figured it out, but it's just that my first impulse is, dear God, internet and specifically YouTube, help me.
Yes.
And usually, thanks to the myriad people that, fuck up brew days like I do, there's some sort of discussion that has already happened
Mhm.
then and in potential solutions that have been proposed. So, yeah. So, yeah. And when I go to do something new, and I think you benefit from this a little bit, is I tend to overanalyze and over engineer. So, like when I made my Herm setup, that was after about 3 months of research into different ways that I could do it, different
Mhm.
ways I could heat the liquid and things.
Yep.
So by the time I was actually putting it together, I was reasonably certain it was going to work, So it was definitely over
You
engineered.
well, you did put a lot of work into that. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
And,
I'll
and,
agree with
and
that.
honestly, I think what you've done with the sous vide is as a heating element is very innovative. Not a lot of homebrewers out there are using that.
I've not seen that before,
Yeah.
and I think that that's an interesting. Now, I think I need to get maybe another one, because for my Herm system, I ended up having to rob the sous vide that I was using for my HLT. Um, and so my sparge water, I've been having a little bit of trouble with temperature control on my sparge water. And what I've had to do is kind of heat it up above 170 to like 175, and then drain and hope for the best. But my sparges, instead of being at about 168, have been 163, 165. So still not the end of the world, but not exactly where you want them to be for sparge slash mash
Not a
out.
not a perfect sparge. Yeah, that is true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I might need to get another one for that, or find another way to do water temperature control there.
Yeah. That is really impressive how you do that. And I think I would make a great how-to video if you have a sous vide in both your HLT and your Herm setup the way you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be very cool. That's great
Yeah.
control.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. So, and I mean, I was just thinking about it, and it's like that is exactly what those things are designed to do: is maintain a water bath temperature consistently.
Yeah,
So why not use it for an HLT?
sure.
And yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah, it's a good
hey,
step.
Sean, if you're still there, I did have a question about the manifold setup that you do. I've seen some people kind of debate back and forth, especially when using copper, of whether or not you like sweat and solder the copper together, or whether or not you just kind of pressure fit them together and not and so you could take it apart for cleaning. So some people have said if you pressure fit them together, that it has it can come apart and kind of defeat the purpose of the manifold. But other people like pressure fitting them because, like I said, of the cleaning aspect. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. So if you could throw that into the live chat, I'd appreciate that.
I feel like that forms kind of an argument for the PVC, and I'm not creating a big debate with this, but what's going to disassemble easier? The answer is simple. PVC is
Yeah,
going to come apart way easier for cleaning.
right. Well, I mean, and if you just pressure fit copper together, it can come apart pretty easily.
Okay. All
But
right.
you're right. I mean, when you just push a PVC together, it's pretty strong.
Yeah.
And what I've seen some people do is they put it together so that the at least the outside edges are almost hugging the wall of it,
Mm-hmm.
so that it can't pull apart. and maybe that's what Sean does with the copper stuff too.
Mhm.
But then you have inside tracks as well that kind of, so you get more surface area at the bottom of the mash tun and not just the outside.
Yeah.
And but there's a couple different, like I said, schools of thought on that. He says combo of both. I don't find that helpful, but all right. Thanks, Sean. Yeah. So
Where's your beer?
it's gone. I need to get another. I need to get a
geez.
refill.
Okay, go.
All right.
Go.
All right. We were talking.
Okay, all right.
All right. I'll be right back.
I will take a moment here while George is getting a beer to say thank you to Sean from Mad Hatchet Brewing Company out of Shorewood, Illinois. Our club president, Kevin, is now a brewer there as well. Cheers to Kevin. He's been on the show many times as well. Mad Hatchet Brewing Company, located on Route 59 in Shorewood, Illinois, and they've got an outside patio and some really good beers. So, cheers to Sean, Kevin, and the whole crew over there. But now I feel like a real jackass because I'm drinking beer from their competitor, their closest competitor. Sorry, man. I don't have any Mad Hatchet beer here at the house, which I clearly need to change, and I absolutely will do. I just had to admit that I'm drinking beer from Sean's competitor.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Sean, he apologizes.
I do.
If you have to suspend promo code Jason at checkout for a week, we understand.
Yep, that would be fair.
Yeah.
Did you grab something from the Keezer?
Yeah, more. From a growler, more Marzen.
All right.
So, what about yourself? How you doing over there?
Yeah, getting down to the bottom.
Okay. All right. Let me know. I can talk amongst myself for a minute. So. Okay. So anyway.
What else?
Well, I'm curious, anybody that is listening here now or will stumble upon this in the future, like Jason and I said, now that we're not going to be focusing on the live stream as much. We want to get back to the podcast, so I'm curious what people would like to hear in that format. Either we can do a little bit more of a deep dive, talk about the history of some things, kind of do some tips and tricks and things like that. So if you have thoughts on that, feel free to drop it here. Drop us a line on one of our social media pages, and we can address that in future podcast episodes as well.
Or should we just shoot the shit about the Karate Kid?
Or we could do that. How Daniel Russo is a cheating cheater.
Just putting that out there.
It's not even, I think there's diehard fans of that movie that are like, but he blah, 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 justification, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. He booted him in the head. You're not allowed to do that. I don't care if someone else swept his leg. That was someone else.
It's starting again. Look at this.
Yeah. Besides, I think he was better in My Cousin Vinny.
I've never seen that movie.
Really? I think you'd enjoy that movie.
I probably would.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe Pesci, Marissa Tomei really make that movie. So, sweeping the leg was justified. In a post hoc way, you're right, because he swept his leg, and then the dude went out and cheated. So yeah, looking at it kind of retroactively, it was justified, but oh man.
Oh wow.
I had a colleague of mine that does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and so every time he would have a competition, instead of saying break a leg, I'd say sweep the leg.
I like that.
Yeah. So
What is going on, Stuart? It is great to have you in the comments. Cheers to you, buddy. I got wind that there's a home distilling project in the works. If that is still a thing, I definitely want to know more. So,
ooh. Yeah,
just
I'd
putting
love to
that out
see.
there. Yes.
I'd love to see some. Assuming we're not going to out some illegal activity, I would love to see some, like a demonstration of that as well, because that is home distilling is one of those things that I'd love to try in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Oh man.
Okay. What else? Still shopping? All right.
Still shopping. Okay. Can we talk clarifying agents for a second?
Sure.
So I've talked with a few people recently about different ways of clarifying your beer. And some of one of the ones that I'm sure, if you're familiar with the show at all, is that we use a lot is Whirlflock, which is basically Irish moss plus a few other things.
Which just makes all the particulates just fall out.
Yeah, coagulate and fall out.
Right.
And it's one of those that you use during the boil in order to be able to get that done. But then once it's in the fermenter, because I think we've all run into the situation where you get it in the fermenter and you're like, son of a bitch, I forgot to put it in the Whirlflock. Mm-hmm. Or you get to the end of the process and it just won't clear up for some reason. A couple things you can do there too. You can use isinglass, which is basically processed fish bladders. I know it sounds disgusting,
right?
Because it kind of is.
And that's a keg edition, isn't it? If I remember right.
Not usually. It's usually like a primary fermentation, like end of primary fermentation edition.
Yeah, that's right. What
So
I was thinking is the what was the keg edition that you? Oh,
gelatin.
Gelatin. Yes.
That's the other thing that has become definitely more popular in recent times, and what I and a few other people have done. You mix up a little bit of gelatin and water, and you throw that in, and it grabs those particulates and drags them to the bottom. And it's not so much a coagulation thing as much as a like sticky, which is more or less coagulation, but not like coagulating the proteins, but just having everything stick to the gelatin as it drops to the bottom during a cold crash cycle. And that does work pretty well. And that's something that you can try out, especially if you've had a really temperamental beer that just won't clear up. Obviously, you don't want to throw that in with like a hazy or anything because you're going to lose all of that effect. But but yeah, that's an option for you as well. Do you know of anything else?
Let's see. The go-to ones are Whirlflock, isinglass, gelatin, and really cold crashing.
It's true.
I mean, we're leaving out kind of the elephant in the room, but that's one. I mean, you and I did not do that for a very long time in our early brewing days, and needless to say, that was a step in a big direction for us when we started doing that. Is you can the best way to clarify your beer is cold temperatures. So when you're positive that your fermentation is completely done and you don't want to go any further and everything can just you're ready to move on to the next step, you by cold crashing the beer, you're going to cause all that yeast to fall out. And then when you rack off of it, all that yeast and all that sediment from the fermentation is going to be left behind, leaving you with a very, very clear beer.
And just to clarify, pun not intended, but appreciated. When you're talking about cold crash, what you're talking about is taking your fermenter, sticking it in, a chest freezer or something, and taking it down to near freezing temperature very quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, that has the effect that a lot of the solids that are in there will just sink straight to the bottom.
Yep.
And that'll really help to clear things up as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stuart, being that you're a mead maker, this same concept applies to mead and winemaking, and it accomplishes that same thing. Because in both of those, you're using yeast, to ferment. And if you don't cold crash, then you're still left with all those yeast and other particulates that's going to be left in the liquid. So if you have the means to do that, you will produce cleaner liquid as a result.
So you cold crash when you make your wine, you cold crash your wine too?
Yeah, and honestly, we were late to that. So I'm now past my second year of winemaking. I did not cold crash the first year because I didn't think that was really a thing. And then the second year we did, and we saw what great results came with it. So we will always cold crash going forward for winemaking. And one of the other things that accomplishes is you can control your acid content that's left over in the wine, but with those cold temperatures. Because at a certain temperature, a lot of those acids will crystallize. And when they crystallize, they do the same thing that all the other particulates do. They fall out.
Oh, that's strange. Okay, so is that removing some of the tannins?
It could, if it's too late. You got to watch it carefully.
Okay.
So and I don't want to delve too far into that because I still have some gaps in my own knowledge as far as acid testing and tannins. By this fall, I would be able to educate and come on a webcast or podcast and talk about that in much more detail. I don't quite have a full deck of details on that.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah. We'll invite Rich on for that broadcast as well.
So Sean, you bring up a good point. As we should. Yeah. So Sean, you bring up a good point. A conical, there's the reason that the professional brewers use this is a conical fermenter can help with clarity as well. Because a bucket or a carboy,
like those big bubble shaped ones, the ones that have the plastic inserts on the bottom where you can drop out yeast into.
Right, like the Catalyst, like the Fast Ferment, the Unitanks, the SS Brewtech ones and things. Just anything that has that cone shape at the bottom really helps to concentrate and move that yeast from out of the liquid towards the bottom, so that it gets out of suspension. Yeah, so that is
all right.
I will say that my personal experience is that those conicals are a little harder to cold crash because they tend to be bigger. So what I tend to do is, take, and especially since I've started this Herm setup, it's become a lot easier because there's less particulates to deal with in the first place. But definitely be careful and judicious about how you're drawing off of those conicals and just try to pull as little of the solids and particulates out of there as you can. So I will move my conical, I've got the Catalyst up to a higher area and then let it settle for a couple hours sometimes, and then rack off into the keg from there. So.
Yeah, how long did you spend with that big conical that you had once you started in the Virginia brewery?
I had the Fast Ferment conical.
Yeah.
I had that. I used maybe half a dozen batches on that.
All right. Okay.
And I'll tell you, it's not bad. It is good. I went to the Catalyst because And there's other ones like crap. What's the other one called? There's another one that can double as a unitank that has a similar thing. What I really like about the Catalyst and this other one is the collection area at the bottom doesn't go down to a point like that, like the Fast Permit does. It goes down to, an opening like this. And because the one thing that I've noticed with the Fast Ferment is that, the conical can get clogged and it can't get down into the ball. So people have come up with various ways of dealing with that, but a lot of the times what it ends up being is you knock the side of the fast ferment to settle some of that through so that it can continue to move that sediment through. But, then you kind of lose the somewhat, I don't want to call it autopilot, but somewhat automagic, for nature of the conical. And it's just not as effective that way. So I like the wider opening that allows for.
Yeah, I don't have direct experience from my end on that. So other than just the catalyst that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. So did you need to go get a?
Yeah. You know what? The send off is coming up, and I don't want to do that with an empty glass.
Firmzilla. That's the one I was thinking of.
Hold that thought. I have questions.
Okay. So. Yeah, while he's gone, I was working on the Marzen recipe. As I told Sean last time we talked to him, I definitely did add some rice hulls to it. And I did dial it back to a 4.5 gallon. And I think I've decided that I'm not going to use the RVA yeast one for this because the attenuation on that was lower, pretty significantly lower than the attenuation on the Y yeast Bavarian lager, the 2206. And the final gravity estimation on this guy is 1013. So that's already a little high for a Marzen. So I want to make sure that I get it down as low as I need to. Yeah. So I've decided I'm going to use the Y yeast instead of the RVA for the Marzen. Sorry, just talking about that.
It is 92 degrees in my garage right now.
Yeesh.
Thank God I'm not. Fortunately, I've got a temperature controlled fridge out there, but even so, my God.
I'll tell you what, yeah. So, yeah, I've got my brew shed with a AC unit in the window and a temperature controlled fermentation chamber. Yeah. And that's the only reason that's working for brewing my beer without wild temperature swings.
I guess the exception would be if you're making a beer with a Kveik yeast, ones that can go up to like 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
But then the problem is like around here at night, it can get down to low 70s, high 60s. So, I mean, what do you do? Because you don't want that. Like that, I bought a Lizard Light because I want to try that out as a heating element for my brew, but I want to test it out a little bit and make sure it's not going to get too hot because I don't want it to like melt the side of the fermenter or anything because I feel like that would lead to badness.
Yes.
So I want to test it out a little bit first and see how warm it gets and everything. So, yeah.
Send me a picture of one of those. I think I have a picture of what I think it looks like, but
so it screws into a regular like 60 watt light bulb outlet.
Yeah.
And it is a ceramic. It's in the shape of a light bulb with a flat edge, and it's ceramic, and it just heats up and radiates heat, and you put it over a like a lizard terrarium. But I'll find a picture of it and send it to you.
Yeah.
So So anyway, yeah, we were talking about the Firmzilla, and I found that because and why don't I do this so you can share it on screen because I don't want to crash my. So
Yeah,
put it
not
in
to
the
knock
private
on
chat
wood,
there.
but you are holding stronger than I think you've ever have on this webcast.
I know, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's the last Monday. We're just gonna let him be.
All right, where's this coming to me?
Private chat in
Oh, there it is.
StreamYard. Yeah. So this whole shooting match is not cheap, as Sean pointed out. I'll wait till you get it pulled up. Okay. So this is not cheap, but this is a Firmzilla with the Unitank pressure kit, handle, spunding valve,
Oh, look at that.
and
And
floating dip tube.
floating
and
dip
everything.
tube. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is meant that you can use this whole thing as a unitank. In other words, you can ferment, secondary, ferment under pressure, and serve directly from this. This can be your whole vessel. It can act as so you don't have to move it around at all. Once it goes in there, it only comes out to go in a glass.
I'm impressed. Wow.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of those things that I definitely I've thought about because, you know, like that picture there is just it as a standard fermenter with the airlock off top of there.
Yeah.
And then the third picture is has it with the accessory kit.
Yep. Here's the
And-
floating dip tube. Here's the spunding valve.
So you add those onto the lid, those two disconnects, and they're ball lock disconnects, and then you put the spunding valve on one of them, and the other one's a floating liquid dip tube.
Right.
And you can serve directly from there. So if you have a refrigerator, you know, you can do your typical fermentation, and then just drop the temperature of the refrigerator, start serving, and that's it. You're done. I mean, you want to talk about easy.
Well, I guess the limitation with this is how big it is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to have somewhat of a dedicated setup.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. I mean, if you built a custom kegerator specifically for 5-gallon corny kegs, this ain't going to work for you. It's too tall and too wide. It would take up your entire kegerator and then some.
Yeah, and so what I'm looking at for this is like I'm thinking about a vertical refrigerator, you know, where you take out all the shelves and everything, kind of like 47 was.
Yep.
And you kind of dedicate this to that, and that.
You know what you could do with that? I mean, because I like where you're going, having its own dedicated one single stand-up fridge. This is the kind of thing where if you wanted to build 2 taps into the front of your fridge door, this is a vessel that could work for that.
What would you need 2 taps for?
Or if you just wanted 1.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. And, you know, I mean, it is big, but I don't know if it'd be so big that you couldn't put in a regular corny beside it. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Let's see how big it is around. It is a 7-gallon total volume, which is pretty standard for a conical fermenter.
Okay.
Pressure rated to 34 psi. Let's see, tank diameter. So it is 14 inches around.
It looks bigger than that.
It does.
It's only
but-
how many?
14 inches?
14. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, if you scroll down about halfway, there's a kind of a schematic view. Keep going.
Yeah. Here's the. Okay. Wow,
Nope.
it looks way thinner there.
Yeah, I was gonna say keep going.
Here's all the measurements. Okay. Tank
Little bit more.
diameter. Yeah.
And boom. So you can see it's kind of taller than it is wide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has a 1 liter collection container with caps and O-rings. I wonder what it uses, because it doesn't use mason jars like the Catalyst does. I think it uses its own
Oh, that's definitely, yeah.
collection container.
Yeah. 1 liter. Yeah.
Which, given that, I think that's something the Catalyst has in its favor a little bit. Is that it
Because you
uses,
can use any jar from anywhere in the market and it'll work just fine. Yeah.
Yep,
I agree with
and
that.
you can use like the full size mason jar or one of the shorties if you want to do yeast collection. And you let it settle. You take the hops and and any kind of the regular trube off, and then you put one of the little guys on, and then you can you could do your fermentation, and then when you close it off and pull it off, you can reclaim your yeast a little bit easier that way.
Yeah. I mean, this is
So-
clearly designed with yeast cultivation in mind.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I mean,
for
you
sure.
certainly could do that with the same setup. But
Yeah, yeah.
I do agree with a smaller setup and a smaller jar like the Catalyst has. It would be easier.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably true. So, Sean just said that he sent you a photo of his mash tun. I don't know where he did that.
Yeah, we're gonna find that.
Okay. But yeah, so Firmzilla, it's
Yeah,
a
here
little,
we go.
it's a pricey upgrade, but I think it's one that it would definitely be good. Oh yeah, see, okay, you could see that's what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
he did it so it can't easily pull apart because the walls will stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I am curious what he meant by I do a little bit of both.
Well, we'll have to do a follow-up episode and talk about that more.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll get it done. I wish we could see
Oh,
the
sure.
I wish we could see the underside of that to see all the slits that were cut in that. But
Yeah,
I mean that's a perfectly good manifold.
it is. For sure.
Sean, what's the gallon size of the cooler that you used to make that?
He said
A
next
plastic
picture.
that can hold 35 psi. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
Next
what the
picture. Oh,
that's what
okay.
the Firmzilla can do is 35 psi. Yeah, I can't reinforced stainless steel stand, top lid with PRV. I'm trying to figure out like what is this? Oh, it's a 50. Is it a 55 gallon? That's huge. Is that what you're saying? 55 gallon? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So you can see that he cut
Yep.
the little slits there.
About once every inch, it looks like.
Yeah.
Something
That's
like that.
that's what I've seen before. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I usually face those down,
Mhm.
and then
Right,
the
to
liquid
absorb
comes
all
up
the
from
water
the bottom.
from the floor. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So
Okay. All right, looking good.
yeah, not bad.
Is that
Not bad.
Whoa.
Oh, look at that.
Well, you know what? Sean was saying that he always made beer in 10-gallon batches. So, yeah, clearly this is a mash tun with that in mind.
True enough.
Holy
Yeah.
crap, that thing's a boat.
It is a boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wish you could see the front now. I'm sure he's got a spigot somewhere in the front to drain off of that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, you saw it in kind of
yeah,
the first picture.
That's true.
It went
that's
to
true,
the yeah.
Yeah, this little area right here.
Yeah, I'm sure on the other
Yeah.
side's a ball lock or something.
Yeah.
Not a ball lock, but a ball faucet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cost $75 to make. I am absolutely interested. That's awesome. Well, it's like I was saying before. If you want to go above 10 gallons, get ready to custom make something.
Mhm.
So this is, to all the homebrewers out there, I feel like this is a product that's well worth doing for that very reason. Because your brew days for making either a large batch or a beer with a high grain bill, it's going to make your life a hell of a lot easier.
So the only other, well, not the only other, but one of the other options you have, no, that's not it. Hang on. Bayou Classic. Brew pots. I'm trying to find one that has the, here it is. So I'll send, I'm going to send you another link, Jason. If you can pull that up.
Ah,
Does that look familiar?
sure does.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that price tag doesn't.
No, it doesn't at all.
Kidding me? I don't think
Yeah.
I can endorse this.
Well, okay, so pull it up, and because there's and we'll show, because that's not even the one we got, to be honest.
No, we got ours was 15.
16-gallon, yeah,
Oh, 16. Okay.
yeah,
But it had all these same elements.
yeah. Do you want to present it so we can show them what we're?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sorry. I thought I already was.
Okay, so this is, if you want to be like Jason and George, we got the 16-gallon version of this, but if you scroll down a little bit, Jason.
So you got a built-in temperature meter right here.
Right.
Built-in spigot.
And
Built-in
then-
hop strainer, which
Right.
would go on the opposite end of this. You have this false bottom, which comes in and out. So this can serve a dual purpose as a mash tun. Again, from our previous topic, you're still limited to 10 gallons in this.
You are,
Not
but they
judging.
have a 16-gallon version,
Right.
which I've definitely used in a pinch as a
Yep.
as a mash tun before. And the false bottom, you have to do some with that false bottom there, you have to do some significant recirculation to really set the grain bed, and not have just a crap ton of particulates happening. But it is doable. And so if you wanted to go to a stainless steel mash tun like this is a way that you could do it. And then I've even seen people drain off into another container, empty this, pour back into here, and then start your brew day, start your boil. So you can use this as your brew kettle as well. And the other thing that it has is that heat shield there. That is awesome, let me tell you. It keeps the that spigot from getting really hot.
And this 10-gallon pot can be yours for $318.99.
Yeah, as Jason alluded to, that is not what we paid for it. I think we paid
honestly,
$150.
I'm sorry to say it, I'm offended at that price.
I am a little bit
I
too.
really am. $318? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason to pay for that for a kettle.
Even like the 16-gallon stainless, and I think this is probably closer, maybe adjusting for inflation, on Amazon is $219. And I think that's a lot closer to what we paid for it. Because remember, we split it at the time.
I remember that. Yeah, for 16
Yeah.
gallons, I think that's within range of I think what we paid for it.
Yeah. So, and coming with the built-in spigot, the built-in thermometer, the false bottom. I mean, you're paying for the premium there, but it's not. It's not unreasonable. Let me say that. It's a little high, but it's not unreasonable.
318.
What? No, what? 219.
219. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
318.
300. Yeah. No, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Screw that. Yeah. No.
Okay. Thank you. We're on the same page.
No. Yeah, we're definitely on the same page.
So if you want, if you want to go on to Bayou Classic, BayouClassicDepot.com and buy this 10-gallon keg for $319. Be sure to enter the promo code Jason and whatever that commission is. That'll be nice.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Spike Brewing also has one, and SS Brewtech has a good conical. Has a good mash tun as well. I mean, mash tun boil kettle combination.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I will say, when you are going from a cooler, a plastic-ish cooler, thermoplastic cooler, to a stainless steel mash tun, there's a much different temperature gradient. The coolers are designed to hold temperature. They're insulated. They're designed to hold temperature. The stainless steel ones are not. So you definitely have a little bit more of a tendency to lose more temperature during the mash than you would with one of the thermoplastic ones. Couple ways to handle that is either have some sort of heat source to maintain the temperature. What we used to do when we used it was we were doing double infusions at the time, so it did lose temperature, but not enough to really affect the mash by the time we were adding the second infusion. And as Sean is pointing out, if you have the ability to, a Herm system is definitely preferable with a steel setup than an insulated cooler setup too. But that is a whole other animal.
Yes, but point is well taken. Yes, it absolutely is. Yeah.
So.
All right.
I
Think we got it?
Yeah, I think so. Solid Monday.
Yes, it was. We'll do this again on Thursday.
We will.
So check us out on Thursday here on our YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central Time. Here on our YouTube channel, A Nice Place to Brew. In case you miss us next Monday, you can check out all of our past episodes on our YouTube channel under A Nice Place to Brew. And we have a podcast under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew, available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and all those places you get your podcast from. Check our website at www.aniceplacetobrew.com and check us out on social media. And I think that's everything. We'll see you back here on Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. A late happy 4th of July to everybody. I hope you're staying safe, and we look forward to future episodes and look forward to hearing from you. So as we send this out, we'll raise a glass and say, it takes a lot of good beer to make great beer. Cheers.
Cheers.